Thank you. My background is perfect, and I'm the host.
Yeah.
Oh, and it tells me that we're recording and already play. Oh, how are you today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. So we are. Let me see. I'm actually gonna do. Hey everyone, it's your girl Asia with Akila Buys Houses, and I'm here today with my girl Tiara Eli from Bird Dog Real Estate. Hey girl.
Hey.
So for some of you who might not know, Tiara and I, we actually met each other a couple of years ago. I met her in her group. And then we actually had the luxury. She came down to Dallas and we had the luxury to actually meet in person. And when I say this is an awesome woman, she is amazing at what she does. And I love her in particular because, Tiara, you don't try to go outside of your ring. You know what you're doing, where you're doing it at, and you're fine with that. And I love that about you.
Thank you.
How did you actually get started in bird dogging?
To be very honest, it started out, my husband wanted to get into actual house flipping. And so we went to, the whole seminar where you come to the free seminar and then they try to sell you a course and all this stuff. We ended up putting some money into the course. And we bought the book, we got the mentorship, we signed up for it. And there much didn't happen for the mentorship part. So we used the book that came with the program, the videos that came with the program. We discovered that, being 19 and 20 years old, you're not really going to get qualified for lending for flipping properties. And so we found out what wholesaling was. We didn't know too much about contracts. So then after doing some more research, I found out about bird dogging and I was like, okay, so that's pretty much like a step below wholesaling. So we were able to make $1,500 bird dogging for an investor within 3 months of getting into the industry.
Okay, nice. So let me ask you this question because you are like, hats off to you because I'm trying to do what you're doing on Facebook, on YouTube. So what made you start this group and you got like 10,000 followers, yo? Like, how did that happen?
To be very, very honest, it was not my idea to start the group. So what happened was I was in partnership. I was in the other wholesaler groups, and we posted the success of our bird dog deal. And somebody reached out to me. We got into business partnership, and they suggested that I start a group for bird dogs. And I was like, that's a great idea. There wasn't a platform for really bird dogs anywhere. There are a few videos here and there on YouTube. A few people will talk about it and everything, but there's no actual platform for it. I already happen to be savvy in social media. So like starting the group itself, that was the easy part. But then seeing the growth and everything happening while I was getting the YouTube channel started, while I was being approached, that we had an app for a while, but that software didn't work for what our goal was. So we're working on a different one. While we're working on the Twitter and the Instagram page, we ended up getting to 10,000 people in 2020. We started in 2017 and now we're at 10,000 people because like really I didn't like seeing people get bullied so much in the wholesale groups when they would ask like those newbie questions. And I'm like, yo, okay, how about we just have a place where newbies are welcome and they can ask those quote unquote dumb questions without being judged so much. So yeah.
Well, the thing that I like to say is there's no dumb question. The dumb question is the one that's not being asked, right?
Exactly.
So that is like awesome. So just a little bit, just let the people know what you offer as far as bird dogging, and then we can just get into our conversation because you guys, everybody wants to start out being a wholesaler, but what you don't know is wholesalers need property locators. I have them. We don't always work our own bit. We work our business, yes, but we outsource as well, so everyone eats. So what made you, I mean, what are you offering or what do you offer and what made you start offering that to people?
Okay, so originally it was just a community group. Yo, what I'm gonna ask you what you're sipping later. Never mind. But it was just a
Wine.
community group.
I turned wine this afternoon. Yes, ma'am.
It was just a community group where investors, wholesalers, and bird dogs could all come together nationally. So it'll be like a bird dog would post, "Hey, I'm a bird dog," and I'll just say Memphis because I'm from here. "I'm a bird dog in Memphis, Tennessee. Are there any investors who need help here?" People will comment, be like, "Yes, contact me. I'll DM you." It just started off like that. Then after talking with Jay Gaines for a little bit, she said
My
that
y'all. Shout out to the wholesale diva who was supposed to be on this live, and I wish she was, but okay.
yeah, she's on a different time zone. She's like, it's really early in the morning for her right now. So but she made it very, very apparent that people need to be trained. Like bird dogs don't have anyone to train them. And I was like, okay, so let me start a program similar to how wholesalers have their little programs or courses and mentorships and stuff, but for bird dogs. And so I started the Bird Dog Experts, which is a separate group outside of Bird Dog Real Estate, but it's the same thing. It was just specific content that I made live streams in. We had conference calls, and I would post separate videos, and that was 3 times a week. It was a very, very active group. It was a small group of people originally, and they did pay a fee. It was just like, it was just there. It wasn't like a thing of me being like, oh, this is how I'm going to make my income. It was like, no, I just had to make it to where people would value it. It's like a school. So I just had to do that. So it was like $5 to $15, depending on when people joined each month. It was just a little subscription service for a little while. It was probably like 6 months long. And so that was what I was offering. All of that content is now free in the Bird Dog Experts group. So that is what is being offered on that end. There's also the national bird dog list. We're almost at 100 bird dogs nationally on that list that investors, well, specifically wholesalers, because I'll get to that in a minute, but I specifically market to wholesalers when it comes to the national bird dog list. So bird dogs can sign up on there, and it's like different options of you can let people know your experience, what markets you're in, if you can do virtual, what your skills are, whatever experience you have already, and investors can contact you from there. And mostly right now, it's just people I know who have access to the list, because I don't want a lot of people to have access to it at the moment.
Yeah, because I don't have access to this list, and I need a few bird dogs.
You do. You're part of the mastermind group, and that's another thing I offer, but that's for wholesalers.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, if you go in the group, you see it. It's the first thing. It's pinned in the 6-figure group mastermind.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad I got that insight, because girl, yeah, I need that. Because I've actually picked up a couple of bird dogs from your group who's actually helped me to be successful. And so I'm really grateful for what you do. And I love the fact that you understand about teaching people and know like they need help. So when people get started and they say, I'm trying to wholesale, like I want to wholesale, and they're trying to jump into wholesale, what is your rebuttal when you see that or you hear that?
Very, very honestly, I just ask them a few questions. I'll be like, okay, have you been a bird dog before? No, usually. All right. Do you have a mentor? No, usually. All right. So have you worked in a wholesale company? Have you been an acquisitions manager? No. All right. And I'll be like, okay, well, try networking with a few people first. Go meet as many people as you possibly can. That includes not just wholesalers and investors, but also like title attorneys, probably some realtors if you want to go that route, have access to the MLS. Just different people who are in the industry, assessors, whatever, and see if you like the people first. See if you like the people, see if you like what goes on in the industry, because some people, they might realize like, hey, maybe the investing part isn't for me. Maybe I need to be a lawyer and be a title attorney, or maybe I need to be a realtor. Maybe I need to get my license and list, at retail value houses instead of the trying to figure out the repairs and do that part with the investing part. I just say, like, get to know yourself in the industry first, because real estate might not even be for you. Maybe you can just buy into REITs or ETFs or whatever when you get some money, and that's how you be in real estate. But maybe the industry part may not be for you. It just depends, because what we're going to get to later is talking about the shady stuff that goes on in wholesaling that shouldn't be going on due to people not having the experience that they need. So I just say network, probably bird dog for a few people, see if you like it, and get to know the industry from there.
Absolutely. So let's dive into that conversation of the shady part, because you do what you do as far as bird dogging, and I do what I do as far as being a mentor and coach in real estate. Well, a mentor. I wouldn't even say that I'm a coach, because I literally hold your hand throughout it. I don't teach you what I'm gonna teach you and leave. I'm always here. So that's why I separate myself from saying coaching to saying a mentor. So let's dive right into the shadiness. Like, you have your own platform, so you see and read all kind of shade all day. So what is like the most common that you notice that you see?
Oh my goodness. The most common, well, I'll just say question that people ask is, how do I know my investor will pay me? And it irritates me to my core, because that goes to like, we're doing business, okay? So it's like, I understand that every now and then it'll be some shady people, but it's such a common question. How do I know my investor will pay me? And it's like, okay, that's very, very irritating to me, because it's like, you run into situations where maybe that investor's just disorganized and they forgot, and then be like, oh, I forgot that bird dog sent me that address, and I forgot to cut them a check when it closed. And if you remind them, they'll probably have some money and they'll be able to pay you and stuff like that. But then it'll be people who will block you, they'll skip town, they will make themselves completely unavailable to you to pay you. So that's one of the biggest things that's shady. And you already know about this one. I just dealt with a situation with one of my partners, Mr. Hinton. Daisy chains. People who don't know what they're doing in wholesale contracts, and it's just person after person after person after person. A lot of times they don't
That's
even have a contract.
You guys, listen. She's a bird dog telling you don't do it. I am a wholesaler telling you don't do it. We do not do this. That is not good business. If somebody try to do that, honey, this is why I don't JV. People ask me, well, why you don't JV, or you could JV, you're missing out on money. Listen, y'all don't know what y'all doing. I paid HGs, honey. I know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. You can't mess up my deal.
Right. I make it very, very clear. I do wholesale as well now. So I'll close roughly like 7 to 10 wholesale deals. And so when I do JVs, I make sure I know the person, and I make sure I know their network. I make sure, like, even if we know the same buyers, they might have a different relationship with that buyer than I have. They might be able to get some more money. So I'll be like, hey, let's JV on this deal. You already have that connection, whatever. But I learned very, very clear, do not JV with people you don't know. Do not JV with people who don't have a reputation. Do not JV with people who don't even seem reputable, and don't partner with people who aren't reputable. Because what happens is, I'll tell you what just happened. Multi-million-dollar deal, 9 apartment package deal. Okay. He was working, he's the buyer. He has the financing and everything. He's already got his portfolio in New York and all this stuff. So he's just ready to buy more stuff. Weeks and weeks and weeks of them not being able to get the property purchased. And so he's like, hey, can you contact the direct owner, whoever this broker is, whoever these wholesalers are? We're not getting in contact with them. They denied my letter of intent, my proof of funds. That's LOI and POF for people who don't know. And I'm like, but you already have a portfolio. How do they deny you? He was just like, man, I don't know. They're just giving me the runaround. So I do what I do. I found the actual property managers of the property and everything, and then we got in contact with them last week. He finds out a few days later, property isn't even for sale. They had sold it a while ago, and the people who had it under contract were just giving him the runaround because they didn't know what they were doing. You do not want to do business like that. That is how you lose your reputation. That's how you lose business. That's how you lose buyers. You don't want to lose your buyers. That's your unlimited funds. They have unlimited access to funds, a lot of them, or their own cash. That's how you make your money. You keep your buyers happy.
And not even that, they'll refer you to other people, because I've had buyers that tell me, you know what, I don't want this one, but let me send it to my friend because I do know he buy in this area. So it's stuff like that. You never want to mess up your reputation with your buyer. But not only that, going into it, you should be knowledgeable. You should be knowledgeable of what you are doing. And even if you have a contract in place, and I'm going to say this because what people fail to realize is, even with a contract in place, you and I are, people know us, so people will recommend us all the time. we're
Right.
not going to damage our brand. But if you go on Facebook or you go on Instagram or YouTube and you see somebody, yeah, they might be selling you fluff, but have you checked their track record? Because if you only see a couple of posts from this person and then they're like, hey, I'm looking for people to work with, and they're gung-ho and they're so excited, but you notice you ain't seen them do nothing else, that's a red flag that even if you put a contract in place, you might want to watch that person, because again, who have they worked with? Who is it there to vet them that this is a real person? Because anybody, y'all go online all day, every day and get contracts. I see it happen. Don't know what the heck it says, but you go online and get that contract and say, I'm about to do the dang thing. It was like, wait, what?
This is a really big concern of mine, and I have nothing against like people wanting to help, because like I'll name drop a little bit, because I know like the Flip Man, he has his downloadable contract, it's for free and everything. There's nothing wrong with like him. I think it's like Sean Terry, it's a few other like bigger guys in the industry.
Yeah.
And like it's fine to get their contracts and download them for free, but you want to take that to an attorney. Make sure it works in your state. Make sure you're covering all your bases. Make sure, like, if you have contact with somebody who does like seller finance, that in your contract it says we can do creative finance through lease options. You want to make sure your bases are covered in that contract. They're just helping people out. They don't even know where to get certain resources and everything. You could have a title attorney write up your own personal contract, but those wholesalers, those coaches, those guys are just helping you out, but you need to do your own due diligence and make sure things are covered all around.
And not just make sure things are covered. Like, you honestly want to make sure that you understand. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of people, they're getting these contracts and they're reading them and they don't understand them themselves. And then you're giving it to a seller and you can't even explain to that seller what the heck it's really saying. I teach one thing that I love about what I do personally is that I get to sit with my students one-on-one and we get to go over everything line for line. And when they don't get something, they can ask me right then and there, hey, I don't understand this. What the heck is this saying? And all of my students have asked me, what does this line mean? Which is an indication that it's a lot of people out here that do have contracts don't understand what the heck half the lines mean.
Man, that's sad. Because it's like, this is why they're one.
Sad fact. I said they're sad facts.
And that's why, like in 3 states now, it's Ohio, Illinois, and I forgot the other state. They're cracking down on wholesaling. They're wanting people to have their real estate license. Okay, it might be. I don't remember hearing
I'm
of
Cali
California.
and I don't do deals there, but I do want to say it's Cali.
Okay, well, regardless though, it's spreading. And the thing is, realtors, they deal with contracts all the time, but the realtor contracts, they can be like 20 pages long. Our contracts are usually 1 or 2 pages. If you don't understand what's going on in your 1 to 2 page contract, what makes you think when they do make it illegal for you not to have a license, you'll be able to understand a 20-page contract? It's very important to at least get the basics.
Right, absolutely. So, and we were talking about that, just like, for me, I think that if you don't know what you're doing, you should start out as a property locator. Excuse me. If you say, I don't want to start out as a bird dog or a property locator, I want to make the big bucks, then you need to invest in yourself to be able to do so accordingly. Because like we talked about yesterday, pretty soon here, they're going to say, we're doing away with wholesaling. So you guys might want to watch what happened in this next election. I'm not going to go political because that's not my place. But you might want to be careful of what's going to go on in the next election, because at the end of the day, it's so many people out here guinea pigging with people's houses. And instead of reaching out to people like Tiara or people like myself, you're just out here just kind of willy-nilly and, I'm a guinea pig this whole thing. And you can't do that, because in a minute you're going to mess it up for those of us who actually know what we're doing. And when you invest in people, all the time they say, well, it's money, money, money. Well, guess what, honey? Let me give y'all a rude awakening real quick, because y'all know I got my wine, so I'm feeling good. If, in fact, people don't start actually seeking help, we all gonna have to pay. You know why? Because we're going to pay for a license. So you can either suck it up now and invest now, or You can just say, oh, I'm not going to get that license because I know I ain't going to pass the test anyway. I'm not good with tests. And then you just won't have the option to be able to do it at all. That's just my opinion and how I feel on that. What is your opinion, or how do you feel as far as like people doing it by themselves and not thinking to help?
I feel the exact same way, because it's like, you know, there are those stories where people can like figure it out as they go, but it's a different thing to, you know, get a good network of people and they help you along your first few deals until you can get the gist of it by yourself. That honestly is really, really good to do. If you can't get a mentor, you don't have anybody to necessarily bird dog for or whatever, having that network is good. But if you're constantly putting houses under contract and you're folding and you're not closing, eventually your name is going to get spread around. Eventually word is going to get out, and then buyers aren't going to want to work with you. Sellers are going to know who you are. They're going to be like, oh, my friend told me about you, or my realtor told me about you, and all that type of thing. That is not good. And that I'll be very, very honest. That was one of the main things that I did not like about my previous business partnership. It was just, you know, they would say contracts fold all the time. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, because why are we doing all this math? Why are we building all this rapport? Why are we doing all this if we're not going to be able to close on it? I understand if like there's an out of whack title issue that we have no control over. That's very, very different. But if we're doing all this math and we have this buyer base, there's no excuse for us not to close on at least 90% of our contracts. There's no reason for 10% of the contracts to be closing. It doesn't make sense to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I agree with you 100% when you say have a network of people. But you guys, even with having a network of people, if you can't afford mentorship, you have to weed out the people that really want to see you successful versus the people who's just going to tell you anything because they might want to work with you for a temporary moment because they see that you're qualified to get good leads. And they know that if you bring them leads, they can close on them deals without you. Or, you know, because that's what some people do. So if you're going to go about it that way, find somebody who is willing to JV with you on your first deal, who actually have done a deal. Because a lot of times what frustrates me is seeing people that say, oh, well, we can learn together. You don't know what you don't know. And fool, how I'm going to learn from you and you don't even know yourself? That don't make no sense to me. So when people, you know, you can learn off of another person. I'm not saying that you can't, but if you weren't a bird dog and I wasn't a wholesaler, and we just came together and said, well, Tierra, you said you could do this, and Asia, you said you could do that, we're going to go in circles. And then we trying to find everybody and ask them questions, because I'm watching people do this. And you're asking everybody questions, but the thing is, you got 150 people coming. So how do you got to read all those, and then you got to weed out, okay, well, 60 of these people said the same thing, so maybe that's the answer. But then after you get that, you're constantly doing that. So I guess for me, I would ask you, like, what would you tell those people instead of doing it that way? How would you tell them to go about it?
Well, you know, I don't want to say egotistical way, but I mean, the easiest way is just to go to the bird dog experts, where I just explain everything in video format. And then from that point, find some people to bird dog for, build your money up, and they get a mentor or a coach. Because I mean, going on Facebook, going on YouTube, going on biggerpockets.com, going on Connected Investor, it's all good and dandy, but you're also dealing with people in different markets. There may be different protocols, procedures in different states, different cities. You really never know. So it's best to get somebody who's in your own backyard, or someone who knows your market. Because I know Jay, she doesn't wholesale too much in Memphis, from what I understand as of right now. But even though she's in Phoenix, she still knows the Memphis market. So she can still give me insight.
Baby, because I've been through Memphis, so I know for a fact she know the Memphis market, honey. She knows markets in like every 50 states. Everywhere that wholesaling is legal, that woman knows her stuff. And that's why I love that she's my mentor, because I know my stuff just because of who taught me. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to people, no matter what state they're in, they're always so shocked at what I know, because it's like, I know the laws in their state, and they're like, but wait, you're there. What do that mean? I travel. So I have to know every single state that I travel to, what their laws are.
And don't feel intimidated by what she said, because she's been doing this for how long have you been wholesaling?
I'm actually going into my 5th year, which is, they say you master it in 5 years. So I'm actually going into my mastery.
Okay, well, see, that's the thing. You're in your master 5 years. The wholesale diva J Gaines has been doing this for who knows how long. Woo. Don't be intimidated by what they're talking about. don't be intimidated by what they're talking about. So for myself, started out as a bird dog and started wholesaling in 2017. So I'm in my 3rd year of being in the real estate investing industry. I know the Memphis market pretty well. I know each zip code. I know all the areas and all that stuff. So just knowing your city down to a T, where you can be like, oh, that house will probably go for 10K. It looks like it needs probably like 20K in repair. Somebody would definitely pay about 30,000 for that all in. Yeah, I could do that. And just knowing your area and just being able to just peep stuff out, because you know how investors are in your area. Be like, oh, that would probably be a good turnkey property. Yeah, you could definitely get a renter in there and then sell that property to an investor like that. Like, just study where you are or where you want to be. So if you don't think that the market's good in your area, which won't be true in the next year or two, but if you don't think the market's good in your area, just study wherever you want to invest. Do virtual wholesaling. One of our moderators, he's in California, but he has 2 rental properties here and he wholesales in Memphis. It's easy stuff for him. So yeah.
So, and it's funny because you touched on something a minute ago. You said know your market, and about people saying, well, it might not, well, nobody's buying this market. You don't know that because you're not really in this business for real. So let's keep it 100, because I had a young lady who I was just speaking with earlier, and she's like, I can't afford your mentorship. So I offered her a bird dogging position because I know where she's at and I know it's a great location. And she don't know what she don't know. And she said, well, where I'm at is kind of country, I'm not sure if people will buy here. I said, see, that's doubt. I don't deal with that. So you need to take that out your mental, and you're not doing it. I'm doing it. You are just providing me with the information. And what people fail to realize is they think, oh, well, nobody's going to buy in this area. You live there, don't you? I mean, I'm just saying, when people say, well, I'm going to have to go 45 minutes. Why? You live there, don't you? So if you're willing to live there, don't you think there's other people that's willing to live there as well? I mean, I'm just saying. Do you drive? Uh-oh, do I still have you there?
Okay.
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay. So for you, do you drive out a long distance, or do you really work your area because you've learned how to work it?
I work my area. The farthest I've ever driven, like I'm right in South Memphis. So like I crossed the bridge one time to go to Marion, Arkansas for this one property that my partner got. We didn't sell the contract, it didn't work. But that was the farthest I've ever gone. And so otherwise, I just went into the sweet spots where I like the Raleigh area. I know that people like to invest in like the East Memphis or like a Whitehaven area. That's like where Graceland is, Elvis property stuff, like, just places where the ARV doesn't cap like 150K. A lot of investors like to buy those properties because it's easy to purchase with cash when you're dealing with properties that are 100,000, 150,000 or less.
So let's just go. We're here. Let's just tap into it real quick, because you said something that I agree with wholeheartedly. And this is what Jay taught me. She said, don't bite off more than you could chew, because I always see newbies that want to sell these $1 million deals or these houses with the ARV of 500,000, and you're trying to sell it at 420, and it's like, that's not a wholesale deal, fam. But it's like, people don't understand that you actually make more money in those properties you're talking about. I know I have.
It is volume. You get multiple deals with situations like that. And let me tell a little story about where I did bite off more than I could chew. because the thing was, it's such a good deal. It was such a really, really good deal. I just did not have the buyer base for it. And that was my thing. I thought I could get buyers for it, but the seller situation was so dire and so like urgent that it just didn't work. And so there's an area called Cartierville over here, and the properties are like 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, up into the millions of dollars. And so somebody I went to school with, she asked me to sell her family's house for them. They were moving. I forgot where they went back to. They're from California, so I think they went back that way. And so I was like, yeah, sure. Like I can, like the numbers work. So that's why I thought, I'd be able to handle it. The thing was, their situation was so dire that they were just leaving. They were just leaving, and we didn't have enough time to do anything. I was like, okay, can I please meet with you so we can talk about this at this time? Next thing I know, they're gone. And, I'm not really able to have access to the house anymore. The buyers that I did have walk the property, that person in particular just kind of made me mad. I didn't have a relationship with him, so like I really can't be mad. I'm mad at myself for wasting my time. And the only other person who was able to even consider the deal, he couldn't work in that amount of time. And so, to be very honest, I could have made like 80 grand off that deal last year. But not being prepared and not having the buyers for it is where I messed up. And so I'm not really.
And Jay would have brought you a buyer quick.
I was panicking. I'm being very honest, man. It was a stressful time for me during that year anyway, just personally. And so not being able to think in the right way, not being able to figure things out, it was just way too much. But yeah, I think that house went into foreclosure. They were just going to leave. They didn't care that the house was going into foreclosure. They were just going to see if they could get anything out of it. And unfortunately, I wasn't the vessel to handle that type of situation in such a cramped amount of time. And so that's where you have to be very, very honest with yourself. You have to be like, what are you willing to take on? What are you willing to be like, hey, I'm just not going to do this right now? Because they said that they had another buyer after me. And I was like, please go ahead and go with your other buyer. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Go ahead and go with them so this can get done. I hope they got it done. I didn't even ask or follow up after that point because I just felt so bad that I wasn't able to follow through with what I had going on. So it's just my hope that they were able to get that finished, because it's stuff like that constantly with other people. I don't feel good about it. I have a very, very guilty conscience. So I don't know if other people just be contract after contract after contract like that, but I can't do it. I have to make sure I can deliver on what I said I was going to do.
Absolutely. So just kind of wrapping up here a little bit, if somebody was getting started and they were like, well, I want to wholesale, and me being me say, well, I would recommend that you be a bird dog, just based off of what I've seen, their progression, or just from what they told me. And they said, well, no, I don't want to do that. Like, what would you recommend to people who say, well, I just want to wholesale because I want to make all the money, instead of actually learning the process? Because I'm going to be fairly honest, if you can bird dog, that is like a big part of that's the majority, that's a lot of your business right there. Because the knowledge that a bird dog has going into the deal is amazing, because they actually know a lot of stuff. And so it's like, to me, if you don't have money for mentorship and you are trying to learn, the first thing you would do is be a bird dog. But what would you say to that person who's saying, no, I'm not going to bird dog. I'm just going to keep watching videos and keep doing this, and I'm just going to keep asking around and try to figure it out? What would you say to people like that?
I mean,
you gonna give us that blank stare?
You can only do so much from YouTube University. Just prepare not to be in business too long, man, because there's only so much you can do with YouTube University. Like, if you're not going to work with somebody in their wholesale business, you're not going to be a bird dog. Like, pretty much, if you're not going to save up your own money from your job, you're not going to do whatever you need to do to get a mentor or buy a course or whatever the case may be, I mean, just prepare to give up, because that's what you're going to do most of the time. Now, some people get lucky. Like I said, some people get lucky. They get in contact with the right people, and they're able to do deals without getting a mentor, without being a bird dog or whatever. Cool. That's lucky people. Those are people who are smart. Those are people who are the anomaly. That's not the usual case.
It's not. It is not. So I want to share something with you real quick that one of my friends wrote, and I want to know your honest opinion of it, just because you are in the business, and like you said, you bird dog, but you wholesale now, and so you've elevated and you've grown. She said new wholesalers don't seem to understand how much work goes into getting your first few deals. People get discouraged, they give up, they get told no, and think the world is over. We both know that. So as a mentor, I'm not offering anyone the option to help you split the first few deals. I'm offering to remove myself fully from my business to help you one-on-one for 5 to 6 days. This is the only thing I'm offering to help people get started. If you're interested in that, inbox me. My inbox is always open. She said also, if you hire someone else, if you don't feel like you're progressing, my DM isn't open for questions. Ask the person you hired or hire me. What is your opinion of that?
This is very, very true. And I love that, it wasn't just like a 100% sales pitch or whatever. She also mentioned you can have other mentors or whatever. Her main point was people do get discouraged. People do hear no and think, oh my gosh, my career is just gone. And it's like, that's just sales. Like, we're in the marketing and sales business. People think it's all about real estate. It's like, no, you got to know how to negotiate. You have to know how to work with people and not necessarily convince them. Just let them know, like, hey, you want to work with me. One time we got a contract when me and my husband went to go to this property, just because the guy liked us. He got a higher offer from another company. He didn't like that they were a big company.
Yo, I know for a fact that doesn't matter. When people like you, they like you. They don't care what you. I met a lady like that at a cigar lounge. I promise you. And I was smoking my cigar and I was drinking my drink, honey. I was turned. And I started telling the lady's sister about what it is that I do, because she's a beautician and I'm a licensed cosmetologist. That most people don't even know that. And so we were just talking and I was like, yeah, I used to be a cosmetologist. Now I'm in real estate. I wholesale. She was like, I've been thinking about getting into that. And she just started telling me my mother had a house and she called her sister. Her sister was kind of just as drunk as I was, but I'm able to function because this is what I do. So we're having a conversation and she's like, honestly, I'm going to be honest. We were offered more than probably what you would offer me, but I will work with you just because I like you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look at there. This, just off of personality alone. And I'm tipsy and smoking cigars.
Exactly. If the situation isn't where like they need to have a certain amount of cash to come out of the deal, if it really doesn't matter, it doesn't matter.
And you know what? You're surprised at how often it really doesn't matter. They just and what I've learned about sellers too, in the time that I've been doing this, sellers just want to see, a lot of sellers, they'll tell you a number, but they really want to see how good you are. And if you're so eager to quit, or if you're going to come back and keep trying, and if you can really deliver. I've learned that in these 5 years that I've been doing this.
Makes a lot of sense.
And so I know exactly what you're talking about. So newbies, like, people are going to tell you no. Don't give them, but first, let me say this. You don't never give nobody what they want. You never give a seller what they want. You lose. And that's why y'all deals ain't closing, because y'all trying to give them what they want. Am I lying?
No, you're not lying at all. And also, don't take the first no. That follow-up game has to be strong. I have to follow up like 3 times unless you're getting like cussed out or whatever. Especially if you pull a list that I like finding distressed properties and driving for dollars. But if you're pulling lists and they're in a situation where they need to get rid of the property, of course they're gonna eventually sell it. They're just being stubborn right now, thinking that they can save the situation. So just follow up with them in a little while and be like, say at that point, they'll probably be like, well, can you raise the price a little bit? And then it won't be no, it'll just be a negotiation at that point. And that's how you get them.
Absolutely. And if you are pulling lists, I always tell people, and this is what I tell people, don't buy lists, because there's too many properties out here for you to be in a rat race with how many other people. Do you buy lists?
No.
Okay.
I just go drive it. Like at this point, this is what I understood. It was like, okay, one thing, I live in Memphis, so like it's really, really cool because our market is so like abundant. It's crazy. But you can go driving for dollars and find distressed properties that have darn near no competition, because some of them might be on some vacant property lists or absentee owner lists, but most of the time, no, people just leave the houses and they just don't take care of them because of whatever reason. And there's always going to be that. There's always going to be people leaving their houses, and then they become distressed properties, or people don't pay their taxes. It's always going to be like that. So
I'm gonna pay your taxes. Please don't pay your taxes, because I'm gonna pay them. Don't worry about it. I got it. Just saying. I'm just putting that out there.
So yeah, like it's always going to be like that. So nothing against people who buy lists. It might be simpler for some people. Maybe they just like to have like that system going, and they put it into their system, and then they're able to market that way. Nothing against it. That's just not what I like to do.
That don't make sense. That's the easiest way to get cussed out, yo. I get cussed out enough. And you know what's funny though? And I love what I do. Again, I love Jay Gaines. I love that I met her. I love that she's my mentor, baby, because she taught me about getting cussed out years ago. And now as a mentor, when I'm on a call with my students and people cuss me out, my students be like, you were so calm. I'd be like, see, what you don't understand is they're up here because so many other wholesalers have called them. But by the time we get off the phone, they're down here because I mellow them out, because what I do is something that no other wholesale do. And I give them something to remember me by. And it's not the fact that I'm calling them, getting on their nerves, asking them about their property or knowing their situation. I'm not doing that. I ain't going to tell y'all my technique. You could be one of my students and learn it, but I ain't going to tell it to you. But at the end of the day, when you have people like that, know how to handle them. And then you would get a lot further. I was just telling a young lady today how I had one of my students had a seller that was cussing me out smooth. We got off the phone, no, he was at ease. And all my students were shocked because they was like, wait a minute, he started at 100 and he was down to like 25 when it ended. That same person called me back and said, hey, I have a referral for you because I remember that you told me this, and this. So I stuck out from everybody else who had called him getting on his dang nerves. Mm-hmm. That's important.
Asia might not tell you her secrets, but like, that's my whole thing. I'll be telling y'all a bunch of stuff. So let me tell you a little thing I started working on. So, people, they kind of went away from direct mail. I still like direct mail. It just depends on how you do it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it still works. You don't have to have like all these systems that people say. But so what I started doing in my direct mail marketing was I got some checks. And so I just blocked out the important information like my account number and all that stuff. And I wrote on the check, this is an earnest money deposit of $100. Now, not everybody does earnest money. You don't necessarily have to. And at least as of right now that we know of, that's because you don't need to, you're going to close, but this is just for marketing purposes. So the main thing is, it's like, so it's the earnest money. They see like there's a check in their little letter, and that's like, oh, this got my attention. And so what I'm saying is, if like give us like 7 days of like the property being under contract with us, if we don't close in this amount of time, we will put this earnest money check into escrow. That's only if like I know I'm going to be able to close on it. If I know I have the buyer, it's just going to take a little bit of time. But it's like you're guaranteed getting $100. People like money. People like seeing that they're going to get $100. So that's just to make you stand out as well. Because there's the thing, that's marketing. If you meet with them, you see the property, and you're like, oh, I can't do this deal. You're not obligated to do anything at that point.
Absolutely.
That was marketing, but letting them know how serious you are about their property.
Absolutely. And I like that. I love that. I think that is really smart on your behalf. And I let people know I work for somebody, so I don't make that much money. That's what I tell them. I work for somebody. I don't make that much money. But I can't give you that. I'm sorry.
She capping. She capping.
Huh?
I said she capping.
But like you said, hey, it's tactics. But I love that. And I do mailers too. I don't do them all the time, but I do. And I'm getting back into them because there's a method to your madness, honey, and I ain't even mad at it. You ain't got to say it. What's known don't need to be said, and I ain't mad at you, honey. That's why I started back doing mailers, because everybody want to get on the phone and talk to you, but for the type of motivated seller that you're dealing with, you have to understand who you're dealing with and how they're going to interpret what you're giving them or what you're saying to them. And right. Some people, written is better. And so I love it. I get it 100%. I get it. I'm not even mad at you. I ain't hating on you. Not now, not never. I love you so much. If you can like share something with the people, like what is something that you would tell people like to help them to be successful, whether they want to be a bird dog or they want to eventually, or they're bird dog and then they want to be a wholesaler. What is something like you would tell them that is key in this business that they do?
It's very ironic that you asked me that question, because the next point I was going to make was I put my my business card into the envelope as well, along with the letter and the earnest money check. Be 100% honest. It's too like crazy out here for people to be like, I'm going to buy your property when you know you're not going to buy it. A lot of people know what wholesaling is nowadays. And the thing is, if you just explain to them, just be like, hey, I'm very similar to a real estate agent, but the thing is, the agent is going to make you get your house repaired, and that's going to take money out of your pocket. It's very different. And I'm not going to list it either. It's not going on the MLS. People aren't going to be able to see it. I have a private list of investors who can give you a cash offer, and they can close in 7 to 30 days.
But don't tell people that unless you can deliver that, because that is illegal. Okay? Y'all could be sued for telling folks that. Let me just tell y'all that. Don't laugh at me.
Like, I know my buyers.
You know it's real.
No, the thing I forgot. I be forgetting because I know my buyers. So I know the 7 to 30 days thing is accurate for me. But you're talking to new people. I forgot. But yeah, and if you go to networking meetings and stuff, say you're a bird dog. That worked so well for me. Everybody loved it. They're just like, oh, well, okay, here's my business card. Send me some deals. Okay, here's this. Send me some deals. And it's like, just be honest. You don't have to like walk in and be like, I'm a wholesaler, knowing you haven't even put a property under contract. That doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Very, very true. And like you said, just tell people who you are and be honest. That's really the biggest thing in this business is just, be honest. Nobody want to be sued. And a lot of time, it's funny because I read things all the time and I'd be like, people don't even know they can be sued for half the stuff that they market, because what people don't know is when they're marketing and it's not listed in their contract or it's not stated anywhere, again, you could be sued. So it's so many people out here that can be sued and they don't even know it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm just gonna sit here
and then another story. Like it's so crazy. Very like it's okay. There's one situation in particular. It made me upset, and this is like where I started to realize like this just wasn't gonna work. So we had a property under contract, good price and everything. We had 3 buyers lined up who wanted to buy it. The thing was, the property was listed on the MLS. The partner I had listed the property on the MLS without asking me or the other partner first. And it was not in the contract that we're allowed to list on the MLS. And the agent that listed it on the MLS, I don't think they were aware that it wasn't in the contract either. We didn't close the deal. She didn't like that her house was listed on the MLS or anything. So
right, because that's not why like, she went. That's why she didn't go to a realtor, because she did not want it listed again. And that's something people need to be mindful of when they say, I like I tell everybody, I don't work with realtors because that's not the way I was taught. Nothing against realtors. It's just I had a mentor who taught me a different way again. So You have to be mindful of that, guys. When you are working with realtors or you're trying to work with other people, you got to be mindful. Do my seller want this? And if you do that, tell your seller, hey, I have a realtor that I work with that I'm up under. Say that. Yes, that might make or break your deal, but so what? That's the choice you made. And you have to be okay with the choices you make in your business.
Very true.
So
right.
I definitely thank you for sharing that. And I thank you for letting people know like all of these facts and all of these things, because they're important. And even when I meet people, you know, you need to probably be a bird dog. Don't hit up Tierra. She got bird dog in real estate. Don't get up in there. I tell them, you know, because that's the thing, you know, people see my videos and they be like, you know, I'm contacting you because you're real. I'm real, but I'm really about my money. Don't get me twisted. It's not personal. Seriously, because but my thing is, and you've been around me, you know me, I really want to see people win. Yeah. And it's like going to college. When you go to college, you pay up front. You're gonna pay them to get that knowledge. So again, this is like I'm your college professor. All right. So you know,
that's what I don't understand. That is what I don't understand at all. People will go into debt to get a degree that they're unsure they're going to use, and they end up not using it in a lot of cases, but somebody's charging less than what a trade school would cost to show you exactly what to do to make $5, $10, possibly $20,000 in one check. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I understand there's scams and stuff, but I mean, at the same time, people are going hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt for college that they're not going to use.
Jay showed me with 8 G's. Jay taught me how to make what? Not even 45,000 in 2 months.
Wow.
Not even 45K in 2 months. So that goes to show, that's why I'm so serious about people investing in them. Because even as a young girl, my mother always had private mentorship for me because the way I learned. And I'm not saying I'm stupid. I just learned different because I need somebody to hold my hand and walk with me. And if that's you, there's nothing wrong with that. You find somebody who can do that with your budget. That's why we are mentors. That's why we are here. And that's why I do offer a course under $2,000, because I want people to be able to afford me. And I want them to know, like, you know, when I pay Asia, not only did she come to my state and didn't charge me more, not only did she sit with me for 3 to 4 days and literally go over this stuff with me, not only did we go to the title company, we did all these things she said we was going to do and some. Because like I tell people, I don't teach just wholesaling. You have to know multiple exit strategies. And if that's something you didn't know, you're not going to be successful in this business.
Yep.
Wholesaling don't just one exit strategy. We have multiple.
Exactly. And the thing is, you said your mentorship is $2,000 or below. People don't even understand. Like, a lot of people charge for mentorship, masterminds courses, $10,000, $20,000. Like, my mentor, he was talking about he joined a mastermind group for like, I think it was $11,000. Mine's $1,500. And it's like, someone asked me, you know, why is yours so expensive? And I was on the phone with them, so it caught me off guard that they asked me that question. So I didn't give them the quote unquote right answer, but I don't want them to know it. So it's like, I'm very, very niche. I'm extremely, extremely niche. I'm not trying to teach how to wholesale. I am just teaching people, hey, if you want to have bird dogs on your team, I can show you how to do that and make it less complicated. That's exactly what I'm in the business for. Plus, we have a network of people. You have access to Asia, you have access to J Gaines, you have access to people who have multi-million-dollar property portfolios in my mastermind group just because I chose those people. I know they're awesome. So when we add in more people who are willing to invest in themselves into that mastermind group, we're all going to be just great and amazing. Honestly, to be very, very honest, my goal with that is to just help as many bird dogs as possible, because it's like, we need more people who know how to work with bird dogs. And it's like, okay, I gave everybody here access to the national bird dog list. So once we get that mastermind filled up, all of them will be able to work with all those bird dogs, because it's almost at 100 people if it's not there already. And so more people are needing wholesalers to work with, and more people are losing their homes, unfortunately. So the faster we all work together and get on the same mindset that we're all in the same business to help everybody else. This is not even a competition. There's no such thing as competition, especially at this point. It really isn't.
You said it, because I just told that to somebody this morning. I said, I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm really not. I do what I do, and everybody do what they do. And you said it, because a lot of people, they reach out and they be like, shoot, everybody else trying to charge me $10,000 to $20,000. But I get a lot of people are skeptical, and I understand that you guys are skeptical. But like I said, I got a track record, and you can look at it. So if you cannot afford mentorship, I strongly advise anybody and everybody to become a bird dog. You want to be a part of Bird Dog Real Estate on Facebook. Do you have an Instagram? Because again, I tell people all the time, this is where you need to be. You need to learn over here. And then, because it's baby steps. It's baby steps. Mm-hmm. And everybody is not equipped to run a business, because this is hard. It's real work. Running numbers, negotiating, even researching properties. I had a young lady today. She said, I've been watching all the YouTube videos. And she said, but you said something to me I never heard. And I said, what's that? She said, you talked about going to the title company. I said, you ain't heard that? And it was like dumbfounded to me a little bit, because that's exactly, because that is the key part of that is the glue to our business. I don't know, T.
That's weird. But to go back to your question, though, you said, I'm gonna tell you something else after I say this, but you asked me if I have an Instagram. Yes, Bird Dog Real Estate is on Facebook. We have a page that you can like, and we have a group that you can join. We also have the Bird Dog Experts group, where all the live streams, conference calls, and videos are in there. They're set up in unit form, so you can go and order. We have an Instagram at Bird Dog Real Estate. We're on Twitter, but I don't really mess with the Twitter too much like that. But we are on YouTube as well. Here's the thing with YouTube. So the YouTube videos are, some of them are private. You can only get access to them if you go on the website, which is birddogrealestate.business.site. And so the reason I have it like that is because that type of content, I don't want it to go viral. I want it to be that's like very, very like personalized for the Bird Dog Real Estate community. It's not for me to get hundreds of thousands of views. It's not for me to get millions of views on that type of stuff. So if you are looking at, the mastermind group, there's a whole hour-long video you can watch. It's posted on it's on the YouTube channel by having access to the website. And there's also a mini course that you can take. And it's, instead of it being a full hour long, it's split up into 5 parts, and you can ask questions at each part. And for Bird Dog specifically, there is what I call the Bird Dog Power half hour. Originally, it was supposed to be the Bird Dog Power hour, but my conference call thing did not work that day. So it wasn't an interactive call to make it an hour. It was just me talking for about 30 minutes, but you still get all the information you need. That's all on the website, birddogrealestate.business.site.
All right, there you guys go. Y'all have it. I'm gonna call her the bird dog guru, because she a bird dog guru to me. Like, that's the bird dog guru over there. Okay, so if you guys don't know what a bird dog is, because there might be people who never heard the term bird dog. Bird dog, we say bird dog, but you guys probably also heard me refer to them as property locators, because that's what they do for wholesalers. They locate the properties, and depending on how much information, every wholesaler is different. I need quite a bit of information. But every wholesaler is different. Some people probably just want you to send them, like you said yesterday, pictures and an address. Some might just want an address and a telephone number. You never know. So every investor that you work with is going to be different. But is there anything else before we wrap up, that you want to give to the people?
I did want to make another comment about the title company thing that you just said. So my sister's in college. Okay. Senior in college. Okay. So if anybody is young or you feel like you're too old, my sister, who's in college, is doing this already. So she's already sent me 41 leads, 41 properties in Nashville. Okay. And so she was like, okay, what's the next step? I sent her what my database looks like, how we separate it, have the name, the address, zip code, all that stuff. That's the next step. But what I told her was find title companies, call around and ask them if they work with wholesalers. And if they get confused, say, do you work with contract assignments? So it was just very weird that you said that the lady had never heard anyone talking about the title company. That threw me all the way off. That's the next step besides finding leads, in my opinion, at least.
I mean, well, and it depends, because again, the way my contract is written up, I need to know what title company I'm working with before I even do my contract. So for me, I gotta have a title company before I even get to the contract. So, it's just all in how you learned and all in how you were taught. But yeah, I just thought that was I was like, dang, ain't nobody talking. I always talk about title companies. I practically live here, I think. But hey, to each its own. I don't know what's out there, because I don't watch YouTube videos and follow a lot of these people. I know about a lot of them. I know of them, I should say. I know of a lot of people, but personally, I don't do a lot of stuff that a lot of people do, just because of, again, the way I was taught. But Tiara, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I love your energy. And I'm glad that after so many years, we finally get to do a live, because I feel like this is our first live, because you were like, yeah, I'm doing interviews, and you didn't never interview me. But I guess.
Oh my gosh, we're definitely gonna do some more. 2021, I want to get so much content out with people, collaborate, do a lot more of this type of stuff, and especially with you, Jay, and this other lady. Her name's Jasmine Gittens. Y'all are awesome, and y'all are really powerhouses in this whole wholesale game. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. And I do want to give a special shout out, because y'all see my Melanin by Nature shirt, one of my VIP students. This is actually her brand. And so I want to shout out Miss Katrine. Thank you so much for my shirt, girl. I do wear it and I love it. So thank you. I love who I am. I love what I do. As you guys can see, we're so happy. Like, we're so happy. If you meet a wholesaler who's mad, just know they're probably not successful or something. I don't know. But look how happy we are. You guys, we've been on this call since noon. I've drunk a glass of wine. Most people are at work right now wishing they can have a glass of wine. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting here chilling like, yeah, let's do this thing. Sip, sip. So if you guys have been looking into starting in real estate and you're just like, I don't know where to start, you want to start with Tiara. That's where I would recommend you start. If you say, I can't afford mentorship, or, I can't afford to pay for it. And I tell people all the time, I don't recommend online courses. Somebody just asked me today, since I'm on it, why don't you recommend online courses? Don't you feel like you can help so many more people? Not at all, because people take an online course and still don't know what to do. That's why this personal touch, this interaction, it's worth so much more. The value of this is so much more than a couple of dollars I could get from putting some videos online.
Very true.
So I love what I do. I know Tiara loves what she do. And again, thank you so much for spending this time with me. And you are always valued, in my opinion. And keep shining, girl. Look, I'm about to come to Memphis. When you want me to come to Memphis so we can do some deals down there, girl? I'm ready. I can get some barbecue. I'm okay with it.
She had to go for the barbecue. Yeah, honestly, I mean, you got your thing coming up next month, not next month, but December. So probably honestly, 2021. We're turning up all 2021. Everybody been shut down in 2020. No, we're turning up next year. That's it. Q1, people aren't even gonna see it coming.
Absolutely. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Jay and I could come down there and we can all three crush it, because I know my mentor always down for a good road trip. If I don't know nothing about that woman, I know she down to go, baby. She is down to go all the time. Oh, where we going? Okay, let me book my flight.
Right. That's her. That's her. But I thank you again for having me on. I'll be sure to make sure I show you where the National Bird Dog List is, because man, we're just about at 100 people now. So yeah, we need
And
some
I need
wholesale
3 bird dogs in 3 specific states, because I have investors that are hounding me in Wisconsin. And I promise, and I even talked to them. And I've screened them, and I'm like, well, I had my business partner send me some leads, and y'all didn't buy them. They was like, the numbers wasn't right. And so I'm ready to get a bird dog who can just send me the leads, and I can run my numbers and make it happen, you know. And I love my business partner, but everybody is different again. So I definitely need a property locator in Wisconsin, and I would like one here in the DFW, and I'm sure you have a couple. So I'll be reaching out to you after this about that list. But again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye.